Hello and welcome to the Summer Standout series. This series aims to create a month of conversation around what standout means in the accounting space. So what it means, how it's relevant and important, how it benefits a firm and its clients, has this changed over time, and what role standout needs to play in the future. So standout or marketing can be seen as a dirty word, but difference and being able to be aware of that difference has a place in all sectors, including accounting and bookkeeping. And the sooner the nettle is grasped, the more opportunity, the right opportunity, will come a firm's way. So there's a massive opportunity to build standout as a superpower, which actually, James, is what you would talk about to drive better value for your clients. So today we've got James Ashford. Everybody knows James. You don't really need an introduction, but I do like your new LinkedIn profile, which says founded a SaaS business, bootstrapped it all the way, sold it for an 8-figure exit, nothing to sell you, just sharing shit I've learned. And I've added brackets, all whilst keeping my marriage, because I saw that in one of your interviews. So welcome, James.
Thank you. And trying to get my kids roughly to the right place and without killing each other. I nearly recorded this morning's conversation in the car, just getting them in the car with like you're passing them plates of food to eat on the way, and they're arguing as to who's going in the front, and you're just trying to block all that crap out whilst just trying to drive down a road. Like, there's so much going on, isn't there, for people?
Yeah, well, I've got builders in at the moment, and it's just an absolute nightmare. But what you're talking about, and you're talking about this a lot at the moment, you're talking about time efficiency and blocking out the noise. And actually, in order to stand out and sort of do what you've done, I suspect you had to block a lot out.
Yeah, and we had someone around here today who's they come to do some work on the house, and he's a friend. I've known him for years, and he says, I says, "Oh, we'll have to meet up for coffee." He says, "I will, but you never get back to me." I says, "I know, I don't." I said, "But don't take it personally. I don't get back to my mum either, or other people. Like, it's not just you. I don't get back to many people, and like, don't be offended by it." And I've got friends that I learnt this from, whereby I'd be trying to get hold of them, and for months they might not reply to me. Like, if it was really urgent, they probably would. But you've got to get comfortable with just ignoring people. Like, you'd never get anything done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally understand that. And I think it's about having that confidence, isn't it, as a business owner, and going, I'm really busy, other people are really busy, it's not personal.
Yeah, and getting comfortable with people being a bit pissed off with you. Can I swear? Can we swear on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Or feeling embarrassed. Like, I've just come out of a board meeting just now, and so I said, "Oh, so and so's tried to message you on LinkedIn." I'm like, "Yeah, they'll have no chance on there. I get messages all the time." They said, "Oh, we'll send you an email then." I said, "You've got less chance on email either, because I hardly check my email." So I said, "Just get them to ring me or like WhatsApp me or something." But and I always tell people, be persistent. Like, you won't just get through. If you want to get hold of me, just keep trying, and I will speak to you. I'm not that rude, but.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we, obviously things have changed, haven't they? But in the early days, you were looking for that standout, you were looking for that recognition and that awareness. I mean, can you remember that sort of moment, how you got to it, where actually you began to break through it? And what was that breakthrough? What was that standout for you? How would you describe it?
So for me, standing out in the market, you mean, Philippa?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think there's. I guess I can identify some moments, but I think with a lot of these things, it's to recognise that there's no big moment when the avalanche just happens and it's there. You have to believe in the process, and you have to just keep going. And the wins are very small, and you might not even recognise them along the way, And so I think it just comes from a position of, if you're trying to stand out, you're probably doing the wrong thing, in all honesty. I think it comes from a position of, I want to help. I'm here to help people. I'm here to serve people. So Daniel Priestley sums it up really well, which is, don't seek the spotlight, be the spotlight. So if you're seeking the spotlight, you're seeking to stand out. Whereas if you're being the spotlight, you're helping others to stand out, which could be, so let's say you're an accountant. So I've been speaking to an accountancy firm in Derby today. So my goal with them, in terms of helping them to build out their marketing, will be, let's help small businesses in Derby. Let's celebrate small businesses in that area. Let's champion them. Let's share everything we can with them to help them to become as successful as possible. And when I started in this space, that's all I did. So I wrote my book first, and got that out there, and then I started to post on social media every day. Like, if you just aim to post, so obviously there's many social platforms you can use, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, various things. And to my mind, you should be posting on every platform at least once a day. At least
Yeah.
once a day. And don't like overthink it. Don't think I've got to produce this amazing content. Just think I'm documenting my day. Like I'm just sharing what's happening. I'm just going to put it out there. And you don't know which one of them is going to pop off. But you've got to see every single post that you do as a lottery ticket, as a free lottery ticket. So if you knew there was a lottery coming up, and you can get as many free tickets as you want, why are you going to take one ticket a week on one platform when I can just be taking one a day, bang, 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 across every platform? And I don't know what's going to work, and I'm not bothered. I don't overthink it.
Yeah, I mean, that's really good news, I think, for a lot of people, because I think they do get kind of very anxious about it. But I think also what you've talked about there is about consistency being there, and actually consistency of message, because whilst you're saying, okay, let's help those people in Derby or wherever it is, I mean, basically that message is, we are serving you. It's not about us, it's about you. And that's actually quite a different angle to take, isn't it? I mean, it sounds simple, but it's not really.
Yeah, I think celebrity chefs are the best example to look at, because they just, obviously, take someone like Gordon Ramsay, his restaurants are very successful. Yeah, he goes on TV and shows you how to cook his food. You can buy his masterclass online. You can go on YouTube. You can go on wherever and get his recipe books, his videos. He'll even show you how to set up a restaurant just like his. And there's no danger of someone then setting up a restaurant next door to him and using all of his information and putting him out of business. In fact, you still want to go to him. And this is going to sound like a proper flex, and I did do a post about this. So we had a chef come to our house yesterday and cook for us.
I saw that.
Right. But just to caveat this, we have never had anyone come to our house ever to cook for me. I cook for us, right? So this is the first time in the history of our lives that this has happened. But he was an incredible guy. And I was just saying, like, you should share more. You should get this information out there, because he doesn't do a lot at the moment. And we're going backwards and forwards. And what I do is, when I get to this point with someone, when I want to hit them in the face with it and really sort them out, I'll say, why are you being so selfish? And obviously people don't like you saying that and taking, but what do you mean? I'm like, you got all this incredible knowledge that you have. And I rang him again this morning. I left him a voice note. I said, I've just reflected on how incredible you are. I said, and you just have these little throwaway comments. Oh, yeah. So he just said yesterday, so if you're baking sourdough bread, by the way, he says, put it in a Dutch oven inside your oven, and you put these 2 ice cubes in it. And what that will do is it will make sure that the outside crust doesn't get too hard too quickly, and it allows it to expand so it becomes really aerated. And it was like a throwaway comment, right? But as he's telling me, I'm thinking, I know what you've been through to earn them 2 ice cubes bits of knowledge. He used to bake 16 loaves every single day at 5 a.m. in the restaurants he worked in for years, right? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of loaves, and refining it to get to his Dutch oven and 2 ice cubes bits of knowledge, right? And he throws that away as though it's not worth anything. I rang him today. I said, do you understand how hard fought those 2 ice cube lessons were? I was messaging people last night. I messaged my friend who makes sourdough bread. I said, I've got to tell you about these 2 ice cubes, right? This is what you need to do. This is the reasons why. And you guys, everyone listening to this, has so many what I would class as hard fought lessons that they've earned. And they don't even realize how valuable they are. And it's even the mundane shit, right, that they give no credit to. My butcher near here is a brilliant butcher. He's called Slacks Butchers. You can find him on TikTok and stuff. He's got this massive chopper, a big knife, right? So people travel from London to have a photograph of this big chopper. I'm serious, right? I went out with my mate from King's Lynn last week, and he said, I know him. I follow him. He said, you've got to have a picture with him this week holding his chopper. I said, I'm there this weekend. So I got a picture. So he posts every week, and he's brilliant. He shares all about cuts of meat and various things. And I just said to him last week, I said, have you ever done a video about how you mince beef? He said, who cares about how you mince beef? I said, well, my wife does, because she said to me the other night, have you seen how they mince beef? And she stopped me to show me a video on how they mince beef. Like, you guys do things that you just consider to be normal or boring, and you would be amazed. Rachel Harris, brilliant accountant, prolific on TikTok and Instagram. She does
Yeah.
one minute video, one minute video a week. She pulls up QuickBooks and she just runs through her expenses of the week, right? I
Yeah.
know what QuickBooks pay her to do that video, and I know how popular that video is. Okay. And it's, you'd think, well, who cares what I've spent my money on this week? People care. I promise you, people care.
Yeah. And it's almost like it's those small bits that people don't even notice themselves. I mean, that's what I'm always saying. Like, actually, your superpower is your experience and everything that you've done up until this point and what you're sharing with other people. It's not that, people go, well, there's nothing interesting about me. And it's probably exactly what, your chef was saying or whatever. That's not interesting. It's like, you don't understand how interesting that is, and that is your superpower, and you could really amplify that.
Yeah, you don't understand, right? How interesting that is. You think you need to create a TV show that's
Yeah.
amazing that people want to watch. What about Gogglebox? Gogglebox isn't a TV show.
Yeah.
Gogglebox is people watching TV shows, and you're watching people watching TV shows. If you don't think that people are interested in the mundane, you need to step back and look what you're doing, because I
Yeah.
promise you they are.
Yeah, but that's it, isn't it? Because we're all interested in the psychology of human beings, aren't we? And we're all kind of desperately. It's all those small little bits, isn't it? That it's like fascinating, and how each other sort of interact and all of that good stuff. That's essentially what makes it, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And also you bringing you to the party as well. So in terms of what makes you stand out, the only thing that can make you stand out is you bringing you to the party, because
Exactly.
at the end of the day, an accountant's an accountant. You all do pretty much the same thing in roughly the same type of way. I'm sorry to kind of share that with you. So the only thing that's unique about your accountancy firm is you, and
Exactly.
your lessons and your life and what you're bringing to it. And so this is where, if you're not bringing you to the party with your authentic voice and all your imperfections and your fears and your concerns and all this other, and dealing with kids and all just the crap of life, not that kids are crap, but I mean, you saw what I deal with this morning, you would understand what I'm talking about, right? And all that stuff, if you're not bringing that to the party, it's impossible for you to stand out.
Yeah. Interesting thing. So going back to your garden kitchen, which sounds amazing, by the way. It was the guy who actually designed it who brought that chef in. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and what was that? Because that, I mean, that's quite amazing, isn't it? That's quite a different type of kind of end of piece, isn't it? Of like, you've got your kitchen, we're going to get somebody in and sort of
It
blow
is.
your mind.
There's another part to that story actually, which I didn't share, but that Michelin star chef actually works for the garden designer now. So he was in a very
Ah,
high pressured situation, very high pressure business, and his family situation's changed. So whether it's temporarily or for a long term, I'm not sure. He's working with the garden design company and specialising in certain parts of the planting and also in helping with the kitchens and various things. But it was through that conversation with him where I'm like, so we started to talk about him and his skills and things, and then it was through that this opportunity came out for him to come and then spend the day with us and to cook. But they've never done it before. It's the first time they've ever done it, and they're like, and Lee. So Lee was the garden designer. It's really interesting on this. So they're called Bestel and Co. Incredible garden designers, and in actual fact, he was probably the first place where Go Proposal was born, because I was with him many years ago, 10 years ago, and he was struggling to price his clients. And I was saying, yeah, he said, the thing is, they're all unique in terms of how you price them. That's bullshit. I said, they're all similar. I said, just go and get every project you've ever done and pile them up in roughly similar price points. So how much was this project? How much this project? And he came back, he said, I'm gutted. He said, I've only ever done 3 projects. They fall into 3 price categories. And off the back of that, he went into his next proposal meeting, and rather than leaving with a headache of having to produce a proposal, he left with a start date and a deposit. So he was
yeah,
the first ever person and business that kind of started the idea of how can you do rapid, accurate proposals whilst you're with a client. And so it's wonderful that we're now in a position to be able to use his services, but I'm always sharing feedback on what would make a better experience and how you can enrich that experience. It was through that the we managed to get the chef.
Yeah. But I mean, in many ways, I mean, having experienced everything you've done and also thinking about how you can serve accountants better, then I mean, your brain is just really hardwired for that now, isn't it? So, I mean, it for those people who are listening and who kind of really need to inject themselves in, what kind of advice would you give them? Because, I mean, it is all about, as you said, being you, it's all about understanding the client and really stepping back from the limelight, because actually that's superficial, that isn't helping people, is it? It's kind of wanting lots of kind of praise, when actually what you're trying to do is get that business to kind of work better, whatever that is.
Yeah, so you went around a few things there, Philippa. So what's the
Sorry.
actual? No, it was all good stuff. It was all good. So I thought I grabbed all of the first question, then I grabbed the next one. So I had a bundle of questions there. So
Yeah,
what's the
sorry.
actual question we're wanting to
So the
answer?
question was, so how do you get accountants to switch on, to sort of change their brain, their mindset?
Yeah, to sorry, Philippa, to in terms of marketing or to grow the business or to make more money or
Marketing.
yeah, okay. So the first thing is to recognize that marketing isn't an add-on to put on at the end. Like you do everything else, and if we've got a
Yeah.
bit of time and a bit of money, let's stick a bit of that marketing stuff on. Marketing should be the core of your business. You need to become a marketing company, and when you think about what marketing means, there's various definitions of it, but ultimately you're trying to attract people to take a step closer towards working with you or to spend more with you, but you're not just trying to attract customers, you're also trying to attract staff as well. You're just trying to attract people. Okay. And so when you start to think about it in those terms, like I know people have waiting lists of staff because of how good their marketing is, because they're providing a window into their world. um, but it does just come from this position of how do we serve, how do we help others, how
Yeah.
do we become a spotlight and shine shine that spotlight on other people. And if you don't become that marketing company, if you don't like study this and become an expert of this and throw yourself into this, and if you're a business leader or a business owner, like you'll have seen people who are really good at this. But if you're not putting yourself in a position to drive that, you'll be overtaken by someone who does do that. The rise of AI is phenomenal and such a great
Yeah.
superpower. But as that rises and that elevates the quality of people's work, how are you going to stand out? It's going to become even more critical, and how human you are is going to become even more critical moving forward.
Yeah, it's interesting when I listen to you. It is all about you as a person, which is what we've talked about so far. It's about you being you and helping to serve. And that's essentially what marketing's all about. It's just about telling people about you and about how you work. I think people try and see marketing as something frightening or something completely different from what they are. It's all it is. Marketing is about getting that message out, isn't it?
Yeah, and then if you extend it beyond you, so it's not just about you personally,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
even your company should have a personality. And that personality is often defined through your core values. So I'm doing a big piece of work now with an accounting firm that I'm a non-exec of in Derby, which I've just come off the board meeting there. And when we started to look at the marketing, my first actual place is, well, what are the core values of your business? Like, what is the
Yeah.
personality of your business, and what is the mission and vision of your business? Because we can't even get into marketing unless I know where you're heading and what are the values of all the people that work here. And very often, like, not to kind of dwell too much on core values, but when I look at most businesses' core values, they're not really core values. They're just words. They're just nice words to have on a wall, and they don't mean anything. But when you really dig into it, it's like, what do you stand for? If you're not beating your fist on the table when you're explaining what your core values are, then they're not good enough. If you're not prepared to fire your highest performing member of staff because
Yeah.
they continually infringe your core values, then you might as well stick them all in the bin. But when you really fully understand what core values are and you integrate them into your business, that for me is really the start of your marketing, and having your vision and your mission, which is your reason why you're doing what you're doing. If you don't have those things in place, your marketing will always be flimsy, and you'll probably be focusing on you. You know,
Yeah.
and if I go on your website, I know what it'll say. It'll be we do this and we do that, and then we are this and our this. And like, I don't give a shit about you. Like, I just care about me. So if you're not talking about you and your on your website, it's how we're going to help you. So this is a really simple audit to do, Philippa. People go on the website, count how many times they have we, our, and us on their website, and count how many times they say you and your on their website. One of them is looking inwardly and is all about them. The other one is looking outwardly and all about the client, how we can help and how we can serve. Always remember this in marketing. No one cares about you and no one wants what you've got. If you remember those two things, they only care about themselves, they only care about how their life will be better, then that will set you in a really good position. I think that's a
Yeah.
really good audit to do. I've never asked anyone to do that before. I think that's a very interesting audit, Philippa.
Yeah.
Weeing all over our marketing versus you and youring.
Yeah, totally get that. I mean, I'm actually doing a workshop on values shortly, so I love the fact that you've brought that up. Um, and from my perspective, a really crap value, as you've said, are like words on a wall, which are big. I call them fat words, like authenticity or
Integrity.
whatever, integrity. Completely meaningless, and they're meaningless because everybody has a different interpretation
Yeah.
of what that means.
Yeah.
And it's like you need to drill down and get away from those big words and
Yeah.
have a phrase or something. I mean, how do you work with that firm in Derby then? What makes a good value from your perspective?
Yeah. So there's a really good book called, I've just forgotten the name of it. Oh, Delivering Happiness. Delivering
Oh
Happiness.
yeah,
The
yeah,
Zappos story by Tony Shea.
yeah, yeah,
And that's a really good explanation of values and how they get used and how they get incorporated. So, for example, if you just take integrity, if you think we've got to hire and we've got to fire people around our core values, how can
yeah,
you fire someone around integrity? I don't think you've had enough integrity, so I'm going to fire you today. But
yeah,
it's just not going to stand up, right? Where the definition of integrity is always do what you say you're going to do. Okay, it's so simple, so beautiful. You can wear it on a t-shirt. Always do what you're going to say you're going to do. You instantly understand it. And also, your core value should be outward facing as well. You should be able to communicate. This is part of your marketing. Like, you need to tell your clients what your core values are. Your clients should be holding you to account. Like, if you're afraid to tell your clients what your core values are, it's because you don't think you can stand up for them. You don't think you can stand up to them, right? But let's say one of your core values is always do what you're going to say you're going to do, and you tell your clients that, and you say you can hold us to account for that. But also, if you want to work with us, we're holding you to it as well. This is not just for our staff. This is you as a client of ours. You've got to always do what you say you're going to do. So if you're giving me your tax information this month by this date, by this time, you have to do that, because that's the culture of our business. That's how we all succeed and flourish together. Like, I'm just getting passionate saying that. Like, if you're not feeling that with what you're doing, then you've not got the right personality and character of your company
yeah.
defined, which means that your marketing is going to be shit. Like, if you can't figure that stuff out first, you're making everything else so much harder.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think I always say that your values answer your questions and they help you with your problems, whether it's your problem internally or a client's problem. Because at the end of the day, if you have this obstacle to come to you and you go, what's the answer? How do I tackle this? You actually, as you said, you look at your values and say, what is it that our values tell us? And it could be, as you've said, do what we say we're going to do, or it could be that the value is, a real sort of personality and tells you how you should communicate with somebody. But if you go back into that kind of value system, it should be able to answer those problems for you.
Yeah, yeah,
So, I mean, I totally agree with that. And I guess the question from my perspective is how people get to those values. And I think, again, it's one of those where you have to come together and you really have to share with your team and those individuals about what is important to you, but then overlay that with what are the key themes that come up, so that
Yeah,
we're all singing against the same song
yeah,
sheet.
that's part of it. But I know how they get used ultimately, and what they've got to do is they've got to guide the behavior. So you'll have maybe like
Yeah,
metrics or financial targets.
yeah,
How do you have behavioral kind of buffers and boundaries that
yeah,
guides people in all different scenarios to ultimately get everyone to where we need to be, right? And so the best set I've ever seen is the Zappos delivery. You can go and Google Zappos core values, and when you read them, you'll see like one is like seeking continual improvement or whatever it may be. So then that makes you think, right? So we need it. We need a value that's all about how our team are constantly developing and constantly
yeah,
improving. Now you don't have to have that exact same core value, but you need a value that's going to help your team to flourish. Deliver wow with every interaction. Okay, so we must be positively impacting our clients, and I love that one. Deliver wow with every interaction. It's not deliver
yeah.
wow occasionally. It's not deliver wow once a month. It's deliver wow with every interaction. And then that becomes a great value because then it makes you think, right, well, I've just finished an email, I've just finished a phone call with someone. How do I deliver wow with that phone call? Well, it could be to say, while I've got you on the phone, is there anything else I can do for you today? Is there anything else that's going to make this week go more smoothly while I've got you on this phone? Like that could be the wow moment. I don't know. But if you've got that core value, so I'm just going off on here, Philippa. But then
You carry on.
but it's that what is marketing and when does marketing stop? Because if you're on the phone to a client and you just help them, but then your core value is deliver wow with every interaction, and then you're like, Philippa, hey, while I've got you today, I know I've solved this for you, but is there anything else that's just really pissing you off that if I could just solve this for you around? Is there anything that you're waking up with in the morning that's just really blagging your head? Because if I can just help you with that, well, there is actually this one thing. I just don't know if I can afford this member of staff. I feel I need a new member of staff. We're just really busy. Cool. Well, what about if we did some scenario planning or did a bit of a forecast for you and had a look at what that would look like? Would that be really useful for you? Fantastic. So
Great.
it's about, but that core value steers that behavior. But then if you're impacting that business in that way, then the referrals you can get off the back of that, the praise you can get off the back of that, all feed back into your marketing as well.
Great stuff, love it. So we're coming to an end, and you've mentioned so many things, specifically AI as well, which I think has a massive impact on the sector going forward, and certainly around marketing and values and all of that good stuff. But if you were to say what the one thing that the accounting space should be thinking about now and going forward, whether it's about standout or being authentically you, whatever, what would you say? What is the parting word?
That's a good one. I don't know.
Hey!
I always think, I go back to the phrase, do what you can with what you have where you are. So I always believe that all marketing starts with existing customers. You've
Yeah,
already got these people, you've already got the relationship with them, and I guarantee there's more that you can be doing for them. So the opportunity always sits with your current client base. So the question to ask is, how can I serve them more? And it might just be one of the simplest sales marketing. It's all ultimately the same thing. We're trying to drive revenue growth. The simplest question you can ask a client: someone's trying to ring me. Ring your top three customers up. Ring your top three customers and say this question to them: how can I get you to spend more money with me? It's the most direct marketing question you can ever ask. You already know them. They're already like you. You can say it a bit tongue in cheek. How can I get you to spend more money with me? Yeah.
brilliant. I'm going to try that today. I'm
Yeah.
actually going to try that once today, and I'll let
There
you
you
know.
go.
Well, it's so brilliant to have your time. I know that you jumped off quite a big board meeting today, so
Yeah.
dashing into this is never easy, but do appreciate it. Thanks ever so much. That's it from us for this week. We've got Lucy Cohen next week, who I'm really looking forward to hearing from her as well. But thanks very much, James, and I'll leave you to your day.
That's great. Thanks, Philippa.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone. Cheers.
everybody.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.